Every time you walk into a room where your puppy or your dog is, they are silently asking themselves, is this someone I should follow? In this episode, I'm going to teach you how to be that person without force, without bribery, in a way that builds loyalty. I'm Karen Laws, the Ontario Dog Trainer, and let's get into it. So this week I want to talk about mindset, particularly yours and your dog's here. Because a lot of times people jump right into the rules before they build a relationship and understand the mindset. Dogs don't adjust to change quickly. And I've had two situations in the last week I want to share with you. And before we get started, if you're just joining us, type follow in the comments if you want a copy of the checklist. I'm going to go through everything that's in this checklist. There's one, I'm going to go through it and I'm going to add some context to it because these are just things for you to follow. And a lot of it you've heard before if you've been here with me before, but there's 6 things here to consider as well as a wrap up at the end. And you know, whether you've got a puppy or you have a dog that's been with you for a long time or you've just adopted a new dog. Hey, Margaret, good to see you. This checklist will be gold for you. And let me tell you the story. So type follow in the comments if you want a copy of this to follow on. Let me tell you the story. About a week and a half ago, I had a new client. She reached out to me. She was referred by her neighbor, who was one of my favorite little dogs. Anyway, she was referred to me by her neighbor, and she said, I read her. You know, I have a profile that I ask people to fill out, and I read the profile. I'm thinking, holy moly, man, this Pippi's trying to get up in the chair. This lady's in trouble. This dog sounds like he's got some serious issues. And so, excuse me, you gonna get up there? Come on. Good, there you go. She just needs to get up on her bed. Then she's more comfortable up there. And so, booked the appointment. Now, she didn't want to bring him out here to my place because I'm about a half an hour drive from her place, and he gets car sick. Well, I'm not coming there. I'm just don't do house visits for dogs I haven't met yet. So she came here and she met me at the door and she's literally in tears. Literally, like, just so frustrated. She steps in the door and she says, I can't take this anymore. I can't do this. And let me show you she said, I can't take this dog anymore. He's so bad. I'm so frustrated. I just can't do this anymore. I need to rehome him. Okay, well, yeah, but you're here now and she's paid to be here. You know, that I don't do these sessions for free. And so she's paid to be here. So I said, okay, come on in. Let's see what's going on. So can you see that picture? Here was the dog. She said he jumps on everybody. He pulls. Who doesn't pull on one of these things, right? He pulls to the end of his flexi leash. I don't even know how to work this thing. Here we go. I had it going a minute ago. He pulls on his flexi leash. This is not working. And yeah, I just can't take this. Yeah, he pulls on his flexi leash, because there's no way to not pull on the flexi leash. He won't eat when I put the food bowl down. I want him to eat on schedule, and he won't eat when I put the food bowl down. I won't have a grazer in my house. Oh, really? Okay. So here's what I met. I met this guy named Cooper, and he wasn't stubborn. He wasn't dominant. He wasn't even aggressive. He was just confused. So he lived with 3 adults, no small kids in the house, 3 adults, you know, seniors and above, and they expected him to speak English. She'd had a puppy, or she'd had a dog. Now, this is something that I'm sure all of you, or many of you, have gone through. She had a dog for 13 years, and it died. And because, unfortunately, they can't live forever. We wish they could. And everyone grieves differently. You know, some people want to never have another dog. Some people need time to process. Other people go and get a new dog right away. I have no opinion on that. It's what works best for you. But in her situation, someone gave her, I don't know if they gave her this dog or they told her about it, but anyways, within 6 months, she had this dog. And keep in mind, she hadn't had a puppy for 13 years. And a lot, even though we don't realize it, changes in 13 years. So she was a senior mindset, and she expected this dog to, she did take him to a puppy class. Now here's another thing I have really no opinion on, but I don't do group classes for puppies for a reason. I find them nothing but chaos. So here you have a woman who's already stressed, a puppy who's totally confused, and he's just trying to do his best, going into a group class full of puppies, none of them under control, with a trainer who has no depth of experience, standing in the middle telling people, toss your food faster, get more food out there, toss more food. This little guy loses his mind, and instead of slowing the class down and walking over and helping her get calm, what does she do? She sends him away. She sends him, puts him behind a barrier for the entire class. So we're not going to have a conversation on that today, but if you would like to have a conversation on that, post in the comments and say puppy class, because I tell you, I have really strong opinions about exiting dogs from a class who need counseling. So, you know, especially if you don't give them their money back. Anyway, I digress. So here we have it. Little Cooper, he shows up at my door, and we start the class. Just the three of us. And so if you go through the checklist, the first thing I did with Cooper when he came in, I'm going to leave that picture up because he's so cute. The first thing I did with that, with Cooper, was I put a check line on him here. I put just a check cord on him and just let him drag it around the classroom. Now, I don't know if I have another video of him in here, but I just let him drag it. Why? Because he's already understanding tension, because this is constant tension on a flexi lead. There's no way. So what this does is he just goes out in front. He knows where she is. She's following. He's leading. He understands that he has to lean into this to set the direction. So I put a check line on him, just a little check cord. Like, it was 8 feet long and it's loose. So he has to figure out what's going on. We're in a classroom. He can't run away. And it sets some boundaries. And then I had a food pouch, but I didn't do a whole lot with it. I just started to move. I picked up the line and I just started to move. He went to the side. I just stopped. He looked at me and I went, yes, good boy. And he came in. I don't touch him. And I start moving again. And he looks at me. Yes, good boy. I bring him in. I just got rid of the flexi leash, kept my hands in a neutral position at my waist, and just moved. Now, people, I know it's a tough winter here in Ontario, and maybe where you are too. But even if it's rainy or hot or cold, do this in the house. Do this where there's no distractions. Just hook a little lightweight line on your dog or your puppy's collar, and just stand there with him. And it's just, you know, he went. I've got a ton of videos on this, and I'm going to post them in my YouTube channel. But he went off to the side, and I just stood still. And he didn't yelp. He wasn't confused. He was just kind of meandered. He hit the end, and he looked at me, and I put my hand down. No food in it. Just put my hand down, and he came back in. And then he was a good boy. So everything that he did with me was good. And then I started moving around the room, and he started to follow. And his owners were like, well, I want him beside me. And I'm going, but he's not ready for that yet. Because on this, so he's walking, and then she puts the brakes on. Whoa, there's a jar for you. Because I asked her how she kept him beside. And she says, well, I just lock it. And he's off his feet. We're mixing up tools and mindset here. But here's the other thing about this. When we are teaching this concept of how to be comfortable on a loose leash, which we talked a bit about last week, I like to start this, now this one's an outside line, but I like to start this with no handle. And I let the puppy drag it around the floor in the house and drag it outside, so that if I need to, I can step on it. When I pick it up, I just pick it up so that I have an anchor. It's just insurance. And then when the puppy's beside me, what do? I drop it, and I let them drag it. You know what happens if you drop this? Clunk. Yeah, you're going to hurt somebody. So that's another reason why I don't use those, particularly not when I'm trying to develop in the puppy a mindset to follow me. I want to project an energy that says, I'm okay and I want you near me. And the question that I always get people to ask is would you follow you? You know, always in the back of your mind, when you start to feel frustrated with your puppy or your dog because they're dismissing you, there's a million reasons why they dismiss. So anyways, we want to teach that controlled movement, setting boundaries with this setting, that make it 8 to 10 feet long and just let them drag it around the house. And if you want to train, every now and then you can step on it. And when they look at you, you go, yeah, good dog, and put your open hand. You want open palm, so there's something for the puppy to see. I'm going to take this off for a minute. Oh, there we go. Okay, so that you can see me better. So you put open hand. And when they come in, every time your dog comes towards you, regardless of what it did out there, it should be happy. It's a happy time. It's the right time to be with your dog. All right. So then when they come in, then we just pick up and we just move. We just move, and they want to follow, and we move. And even with a puppy, I might just back up, have my hand, yes, good puppy, and then move to the side, move in a square, and then move off. And when I'm finished doing that, I'll say, you're free. And if we get to the end here, and I can go through some of Cooper's videos, I'll show them to you. Because they understand movement. How do dogs see the world? Through their nose, that's why they like to sniff, and through their eyes, not through their ears. Not until, and humans are verbal creatures, and humans are the ones that want to talk. So when you are an energy that is relaxed and you're moving away or you're welcoming, you become relevant. Your dog wants to be near you. Watch dogs with a group. Ooh, Los Angeles, welcome, Cala Fleece. You want to be relevant. So you want the dog to follow. You want to be worth following. And movement, leaders control movement. If you have a dog on a flexi, they're sensing the tension, they're setting the direction, therefore they're controlling the movement. You're not part of the equation. So, hey Julie, we want to, this becomes almost like a seatbelt, just like a seatbelt. And I just, have it loose and I'll move around. And if the dog goes to the end, I just stop. And they look at me, they're good dogs. And then we carry on. So pretty soon they start to look to you. And if you want to be extra relevant, whenever they are exactly where you want them, which is either right here or right here, you can use food for reinforcement. That's how you can work your meals. Dogs like to work. You don't want to feed extra treats, just do it at mealtime. And that's it. That was all of lesson 1. Just move, just move, just move. The other thing that happens with people that have notions, that talk endlessly to their dogs. I talk to my dogs as well. Not when I'm expecting an answer. When I'm expecting an answer, I don't say anything. My good friend and mentor Nelson Hodges has a line that I want you to really hang on to. If you want your dog to hear you, stop talking. He doesn't say it quite that politely. But if you want your dog to hear you, stop talking. We build in meanings to cues by shaping the behavior and rewarding the behavior and then labeling it after they do it. So poor little Cooper came in and he's like, get over here, come, stop, sit, don't, all this stuff. And he's just like, whatever. Finally, it's just noise to them. They just tune it out. So and he knew a lot of cues. So by this time, now we're at her house and you can see the focus because they've stopped talking. That's really all that's about, is just stop talking. And she understands it. Bikers on place. She understands the sit cue. So when you've shaped the behavior or lure it with food, use of food it goes in sequence. First we lure, then we shape, then we reward. So we might spend, when I'm teaching a dog to walk beside me, I might lure that if it doesn't have any idea, I'm going to lure and I'm going to keep the food right here and lure for maybe 3 or 4 days so that the dog understands till it's building that mindset. Then I'm going to start to shape the behavior. I might start feed on the move. And then the final thing is I wait until I'll walk 3 steps and 6 steps and 9 steps with no food. And when they're walking beside me, I feed when the job is done. It's called the paycheck. Give them the paycheck at the end. However, I'm not always going sit, 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 sit. When you do that, when your dog knows how to sit Puppies all know how to sit, don't they? They sit down, they look up at you, and the best way to start to shape the behavior you want is to acknowledge it. Good sit. So the dog hears that sound. That's all it is. It could be just like blah, blah, but it's good sit. You might not say sit. We say sit because that's our language. It's intuitive. So you say good sit. Pretty soon the dog hears that command, and dogs are way quicker than we are with their impulse control and their brain to body messages that say, I sat down, I heard the sound, and it was pleasant. I like that sound. I want to be near that energy. Everything is praise, command in the praise. Not sit, 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 sit. Here's what happens when you, how many of you have done this? Just type yes in the comments. You repeat a command. You know your dog knows it. They know they knows it. You assume they know it, even though maybe they don't know it. But even if they do know it, and you say, come. And the dog is right there, and it doesn't come. What's the, then, and it takes 3 seconds from the brain to put the message to the body, for the muscles to kick in, and for the dog to respond. But most people don't wait 3 seconds. You go, come, come, come. So there's 3 words in less than 3 seconds, and energy has changed with each one. Do you think, if assuming the dog does understand come and does come or respond properly 90% of the time, that it's going to come to you when you say, come, God damn it, get in here, right? Yes or no? Type 1 in the comment if you think it would. Type 2 in the comment if you think it wouldn't. Mine go the other way. They go, oh, she's off again. Oh, geez. But if I do it this way, normal voice, come, that's what this is for. Particularly with a puppy, but even with a new adopted dog, new to you. So you have the line on, you say come, and they don't come, you can just walk over. Yeah, right, Beth, just walk over and just guide them. So that you say it once and you make it happen. And that's what that's what the line does. And you can even use your hands. Sit, good sit. So you follow through calmly, not with anger, frustration. All right. You don't want to raise your voice. When I raise my voice to my dogs, Prince does kind of get that every now and then because he can be really annoying. But with dogs that are here for training, the last thing I will do is raise my voice because it changes the energy, and that's not how we live every day. So if we're going to raise my voice, I'll usually just go in a room by myself and do that. Just energy release. Here's the other thing that people, we'll just use Cooper as a story. He loved food because of the puppy training that he had, where it would just throw food on the floor, throw it on the floor, throw it on the floor. I generally don't throw food on the floor. I don't throw it on the floor unless I'm teaching a specific, I do have an exercise where I do that, specific lesson. But the thing is, see this guy here, Mr. Biker? He has an excellent recall when he's here. Excellent. When he's home, not so much. His owner dropped him off this morning, and you know what he said to me? He said, he'll come when you say treat. I said, he doesn't get that here. Nope. Because I had put this on him, and his owner said, oh, he doesn't need that on him. He'll come when you call him if you say treat. And you give him a treat when he comes. I said, no. He'll come when I call him, and if he doesn't, I'll go and get him. Consequently, maybe like 2 times this morning, I had this, and now he's fine. He just a reminder, oh yeah, I'm not at home. He doesn't get a treat when he comes inside either. I was like, no, I'm not going to bribe the dog to do something that's going to make him feel good when he gets here. We lure, we shape, then we give them the paycheck when we're ready. And then we fade that out in a schedule. But initially with puppies, they do a lot, but you have to have a schedule to get rid of it. However, poor little Cooper, his owner was honest. She said, he'll come for food. He's food crazy. That interrupts their focus. So what have we got so far? We're just moving silently. And when he's right where we want, we're going to say yes. That's the marker word that says that's exactly what I want you to do. And when we're finished with all that, we might walk with him. Yes, good puppy, yes. You know, just walk along, stay quiet, and then when we're done, we release him. You're free. We come back, all body movement, just getting him looking, body movement. So you're interesting. You're the bigger rabbit. All right, so that you're not going sit, 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 or come, 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 because what that teaches the dog is you are not serious about anything, and he doesn't know what you want. When you want to reward engagement, that's it. It's that natural yes word, the marker. You can use whatever you want, but just be consistent. I use two markers, three actually. No is an interrupter, but I use two markers. Yes means that's exactly what you want. And when they're in the early stages of training, they will get a paycheck for that. And in Cooper's case, I had him walk beside me when he was looking up like, oh my God, this is so much fun. He sat down. Yes. Then I would feed him for being beside me rather than make sure you keep shoving food in his mouth, he finished the job. When he comes in, when a puppy comes in on their own, initially when they're here, they have this long line on, but when they check in on their own, I call that the check-in drill. Yes. And I'll say, good come, because that's a come command. We want to build that in as they're working with us. And then when they get it right, be sure to acknowledge. You want feedback from them, or they want feedback from you as much as you want feedback from them. Does that make sense? Type 1 in the comments if it makes sense that we lead with body movement first, voice later. We might lure with food to start, but we get rid of that and start to reward for the job well done. And there's so many cool things you can build out with that. Type 1 in the comments if you're not driving, if it's safe and you can do that. That makes sense. Because that connection, the more they have that positive association with you where you're coming in just with body movement and rewarding for the job that's completed. Yeah, thanks, Kathy. The more relevant you become. Yeah, you're right, Bo. Exactly. If it makes sense, thank you. Okay, so now we want to have. Remember, one of the lines I like to use is you get what you pet. And I said that to Cooper's owner. She says to me, at night I sit down on the couch and she said, he just bites me. So I just get up and leave. How's that taught him anything? Right? How's that taught him anything? Because he hasn't had to walk. He's lived in this great big house all day long, all by himself. And she's home and he wants engagement and she's tired. She just wants to sit down. Everybody can relate. You go to work all day, you leave. So it goes back to the fulfillment formula, the daily routine. Remember that? If you're looking for the checklist for this, just type follow in the comments if you've just joined us and we can follow along. I'm going to go through each of the steps that are going to build a dog that has the mindset that you want to learn from you. When their mind is in the right place and they're focused, we're trying to establish what we call a following mindset. You want the dog to be in a following state of mind, not a running away state of mind. And the more you put this on, this kind of tension, or yank on the leash, the more they see leashes as restraint, they lean into it, they want to go away. When they come in beside you, you want to acknowledge that. Yes. Good heel, good calm, wherever you want them. Just acknowledge when they're beside you, and you don't have to use food. You can with puppies if you want to initially, because they have to eat, but you don't have to. You can be the person that they want to follow, that you would follow if you had the chance. Because dogs will repeat behaviors that gives them something they want. Calm energy is something they want. Yes, food is something they want, but when it gets to the point where they start to manipulate you for the food and swat at you, it's time to move on. Get away from the food. By using this approach, having them drag the line in the house, you can step on it so they can't dart out the door. You can, this is biothane, so you can switch to biothane to go outside and have them meander around the yard. It's not possible here in Ontario right now when we have over 3 feet of snow on the ground, but it's possible on the sidewalk. And I did a little walk with Cooper, then I'll show it to you. How they went from this because and she found this to be frustrating, and I just pull on it and I get him to come back. Oh, and what does he do? He takes off because he doesn't want to come back. You want to have him, when this is on and they can't feel it, they're looking for you. And then every time they look for you, they get this yes and your hand down. And when they come in, if you want, you can use food, but you do not have to. You can be happy. Be happy. Dogs want to be near happy. And you move on. So that's, you want to avoid this kind of equipment that encourages leaning. You lean into it. When dogs are walking on a flex leash, you watch them. They're leaning forward because they lean into that resistance. I did a little walk test with the owner, and I put this clip in one hand and this clip in the other hand and had her describe to me what she felt. She said, well, I don't feel anything in this hand. I said, exactly. That's what you want, is to feel nothing in this hand. You want the puppy to not feel anything because then he has to look for you. And if he dismisses you, you just stand still. And then he hits the end. It doesn't matter whether he's wearing a harness, a flat collar, or any kind of a collar. He hits the end, he gets stopped. And when he looks at you, yes. You don't let him hit the end and go, see, I told you shouldn't have did that. No, he hits the end because he wasn't paying attention to the boundaries that are set by this rope or this leash. And then when he looks at you, you're the best thing ever. Yes, good puppy. And they want to come in. When you are on a flexi, you're following them. There's a time and a place to do a follow the dog exercise, but walking on the street isn't necessarily one of them. And walking properly doesn't mean that they are necessarily exactly beside you in this precision police dog style heel. They can still be in front as long as they're looking over their shoulder, checking in. The leash is loose. They're aware of you. Check their ears, check their body posture, and watch it for when they turn around. And every time they look at you, you acknowledge that. Yes, good dog. And you keep walking. It works because when the tension is on the leash, that's what creates a trigger in their brain called oppositional reflex. The dog just naturally leans into it. We don't want that. And when the leash is loose and they have to look for you, it gives you an opportunity to provide direction, go the other way, and then you can tie in your verbal cues with that at the same time. Does that make sense? Post your questions in the comments if you have a question on that. So, what was phase 2? So we've got Cooper now. He's been in my classroom. They finally understand. We're going to ditch the flexi leash. They can't believe. I don't know if I can. Let me just take a break here and see if I can find the one little put a little video clip of him in the classroom. Let's watch this. Can you see that? There he is. So this is what she was worried about at the beginning. He's complaining, or she's complaining that he jumps, but now he's not jumping. Yes, I have food, but I let him finish the job. Now I'm luring him back. I won't give it to him when he's jumping. I just wait. He's demanding, stop. I keep moving. I just pull it away. There he goes. Now he's figured, oh, right. As soon as he kept all 4 feet in the ground, then he gets his reward. And he keeps moving with me. But look at how happy he is. When he came in, he wasn't happy. He didn't know anything. He was like, there we go. So I just keep moving. And now he's following me. Now the only thing I'm saying to him is I'm going, if he gets distracted, I give him the little kissy sounds. Because kissy sounds are like, they trigger something in their brain that takes them right back to when they were nursing because it's food. Look at the focus. Because now I'm relevant. I'm not even standing on the leash. I'm just there. And he's like, okay. And he laid down. When he laid down, his owner almost started to cry again. She'd never seen him do that. Because it's like, he doesn't do that. He just keeps jumping. And then I reward the down and I put the food between his paws on the floor. And as I'm giving him the food, I'm going, good down. And then he gets the paycheck because he did the job and he gets the praise. The command is in the praise. And now the food, triggered him to say, well, if I keep looking at her, she's going to give me some more stuff. Type a 1 in the comments if you find that helpful, just watching that little clip, that you can understand how his brain right now is in overdrive because he has to think. He's not just getting food pumped at him the whole time. I'm not giving him anything when he's jumping, so the jumping is not working for him. As soon as I put my hand up and made it crystal clear, I probably had my hand down for too long, thinking he was going to just kind of lean into it and start walking. But as soon as I stood up, he goes, oh, there we go, kissy sounds. And then so she says to me, how come he's hesitating? So because he's thinking. He does not want to make a mistake. Thanks, Jacqueline. He doesn't want to make a mistake. He wants to be sure he's right, and he wants to know how. See that? I say he's thinking. He wants to get that paycheck. So this is magic, and people, you don't have to do this on the street. You start this in your house. And all I did was I hung on to the end of the line because I wanted to basically simulate being on the street. You wouldn't have it loose. You wouldn't drop it on the street to start with. And this is what they took home. So at the end of this session, I had her do it. But look at how he's just laying there. He's like, whew, I get a break. You want to make sure. So here's the other thing about that duration piece is you don't want to do this more than 2 minutes with a puppy. 2 minutes. And then we just stop and we have a break. And then he's ready to go again because his brain has a chance to process. That's the key. That's magic. And I'm not yakking at him the whole time. Okay. Oh, okay, we're going to stop that. I have another one coming up. Oops. There we go. Okay. Oop. Stop the share. Boom. Stop sharing. Okay. All right. Does that help? Good. Thanks, Kathy. So why does this work? Because it was crystal clear to him what he was supposed to do. So that's number 4 on the checklist. And if you haven't got this checklist yet to follow along, just type follow in the comments and you'll get automatic access to it. So how are we going to make sure that Cooper and your dogs are going to be okay? Here's the question that I asked her, because she said, I don't have, too cold. So she had everything. Her husband was just sitting in the corner, and I don't know what's going on with that initially. I think he was just watching. But here's the conversation. Okay, she said, this is good, and she did it, and he did it. They all practiced, and everything went well. Once they got this thing is, and yanking on the leash is a human habit. They think they've got so much control with this, and they walk like this, so the dog's just going like this all the time and just learns to lean into it hard. So there's a lot of things that had to be undone before we got to the point that you see there in the video. So I said to her, he's got to have this kind of walk. Her 93-year-old mother lives with them. So poor mom's doing what she can, but she just leaves him. She just goes and leaves him alone when he starts to jump on her. Okay, so he's alone. So I gave them, if you've been here before, my work, rest, play formula, that a dog needs at least 2 productive walks a day. Walking is working. So she said, I don't have time to walk. I have to go to work, Yeah, we all have to go to work at some point. So I said, so what time do you get up in the morning? They live in a beautiful neighborhood for walking dogs. What time do you get up in the morning? 6 o'clock. 5:30. She said, 5:30. I said, okay, what time do you go to work? 8:30. So you've got 3 hours to do a 5-minute walk with the dog, outside or inside. 3 hours to do something with the dog. And honestly, this isn't a judgment on this poor lady. She was like, it was like I never thought about that. Because we all get in these habits of, we get up in the morning, we have our coffee, we watch the news, we read the paper, Why not do 5 minutes worth of work with the dog and then have your coffee and then do 5 minutes more work with the dog? Like I said, you don't even have to take him outside. Take him let him go and do his potty break, because he's a good crate sleeper. He's good. They've done all of that sort of stuff right. But she didn't. So she said, I try to sit down in the morning and he's just biting me and jumping at me. Yeah, because he wants to work. So now we start to have a routine that involves work. That's not it. I'm going to show you another where we're at. I showed you this a minute ago. I'm going to show you again. So here's something that involves work with no effort, with not being, I'm not going to play the video, with not being, so now you can do a place. We introduced place in session number 1. And by the time I went to see them at session number 2, Cooper's already going to his place and staying there. Yeah. And you're right, because the dog is, well, it's not a toddler. It's not a decoration. They treat them like toddlers. They're dogs. They need to work. And at 7 months old, he's got a fully developed brain that says, I need a job. And this helped her energy. And Cooper he's just like so much focus on her. It totally made her day. Like she said, I can't believe how quickly he's picked this up. She could stand in the kitchen and send him to place, and he'd run in, and you could see him trying. He's trying to get in there. So that was so I said, before you go to work in the morning, just do something. It's like fitness, right? We can't all be, competition bodybuilders, but we can do something and go for a walk in the morning. Okay. So it provided her with structure and him with structure. And then they go to work, and I said, and then she said to me, and then when I come home, I don't even take my boots off. I just grab the dog and we go for a walk. Bingo. Now we're talking. Because an unstructured dog is in chaos, and mom's walking around the house with her walker, and she gets frustrated when she comes in because he's jumping at it, because wheels create prey drive. So yeah, it's giving them attention. Let's stop that one. Okay. Does that make sense? You're working together. You're building that bond. That's what they want. So you can't expect your dog to be calm if you haven't been calm with them and you haven't given them something to think about. They are thinking beings. They want to work, and they don't understand verbal. Whether you speak English, French, German, it doesn't matter. That's not their language. Their language is body movement, eye contact, nose. And they learn association just like we do when we go to another country and we haven't learned the language. Eventually, if you stay there long enough, you learn the language because you hear sounds that are associated with actions that give you a result. That's how dogs learn as well. So when you just have chaos, noise creates chaos. It adrenalizes because little Cooper, he's trying to figure out what's going on. I just want to be right. That's what the jumping was about. And her getting frustrated and louder was just making it worse. So is it perfect yet? Of course not. It's not perfect yet. But right now he's got a better structure. They both have an understanding. He has an understanding. So now they're not looking for a new home for him. When a dog can predict, they thrive on predictability. When they can predict what's going to happen next, they have calm. Now they want to be with you because now you're relevant. Now we're getting to a following mindset. Focus and follow. They're interconnected. If the dog's focused on you, there's a good chance they're going to follow you. When you don't even say anything, but you just walk away, they're going to follow you. Does that make sense? Type a 1 in the comments if you agree with that, if that makes sense. I'm just on a page here. All right. Any questions? All right. So then, here we go. Consistency matters. Energy matters. Dogs are attracted to calm energy. So you can see when he came in, when we were in our first session and you saw I was doing the movement with him, I'll go back to that video. They tried to, when I said, here, it's your turn, and they tried to walk with him, he was glued to me because I was the only one that was standing there calm. Missed it. Calmly. So they knew what he was attracted to that. And that just kept him coming back. And he knew he couldn't trust them, not in a bad way. He just knew certainty. He knew certainty. So he kept staying closer to me because I knew what I was doing, basically is what he was saying. He's like, I'm just going to stay with her because I feel more comfortable here. And let me just get that back up. Oops. Well, I don't want to show you that one. They don't want that. I'll stop that for a minute. Go back. Right back to where I was. So we just walk in and they took it, and he's like, oh, no, I'm going to stay close to you because I know that you know. And trainers, they see this and they go, oh, well, you know how to do this because you've always been doing it, but that's not the case. So here he is with his owner. Now look at the difference. Owner's paying attention. Dog's looking at him. He said, I've never had him do this before. And look at where the line is. Is the line tight and tied right up to his hung up tight against his body? No, he's just moving. Now the owner was nervous. So he was a little hesitant, but once he got the groove, the dog was he's happy. He comes home now. He sits with me. He's quiet. Does that make sense? All right. So now I'm going to show you. We've got them convinced they have to do something with him in the morning before they go to work. The first thing that they need to do with him when they come home is take him out. In between, they have a fairly big area where they live in. In between, place, sit. We did we started to build sit to stay. So backing up and moving forward, going from side to side, rewarding the sit. She's done some other stuff with him, but now she's applying it on a scheduled basis. So he knows what is coming next. So where did we end up? So then the day I go to their house for the second lesson and she greets me at the door, that same level of frustration. Just about in tears. We've got company here and he just won't settle. It's 3:00 in the afternoon, Eastern time. He just won't settle. We've got company here and he won't settle. So I said, really? It's 3:00 in the afternoon. How many walks has he had today? Boom. What do you think the answer was? Post in the comments. Between 0 and 3, what do you think the answer was? Post the number in the comments. It's not a trick question. My thing is slow. You're right, Twinkles. 0. None. She said none. And she said almost indignant, like none. So as a professional trainer, and she's my customer, so instead of saying what was on my mind, I just said, okay, here, let me have him. And I just we went for a walk. And, so am I going to ask him to go beside me and heel and all that sort of stuff? No, No, we're on an adventure. So we go on an adventure. I don't have any food. I don't even have any poop bags. I'm hoping he doesn't poop. I don't have any food. I've just got a big coat on and mitts. And I said, come on, we're going. So we go. Here we go. You're right, Twinkle, even the cat needs it. So we go for a walk, and they have, like I said, a beautiful walking neighborhood, all kinds of things. I'm putting that's the walk that's going to be in the long form video. But so here's how we ended up on the walk. This is just with me to start, because then I came back to the house and we did some more work. I can't figure out how to put all of these in a thing that I've got access to, so that's why I have to scroll by. I'm sorry. So I take him for a walk, and there's where we're at. Within like 5 minutes, it's like not even 5 minutes. He's like, I get this now. And look at how loose the leash is. I'm hanging on to it because I'm not going to let it go on the street. But he's like, he's not jumping on me. He's just, let's go for a walk. So we fast forward, we come back in the house. Now he's got eye contact. He's staying close to me on his own. When he stops to sniff, I go and sniff with him. What is that? What is that? And he's like, woo, this is fun. And I wasn't telling him, here, come, sit, nada, nothing. Just leading and him checking in, following. Calm energy, just enjoying. This is therapy, folks. If you have a little dog like this, oh my God, how cute is that? But even if whatever, dog walking shouldn't be an obligation. It should be therapy. It should be the way you release your day, not tense up your day. So when you build this calm energy, when you build the no talk or less talk, more eye contact and more body movement, everything else starts to go on top. So now we've got something we can work with. I take him around the block, I get the beans out, and then we go home and I get to his sidewalk where he lives. Like they apparently walk him, but not every day. I let go of the leash and he just zooms to the door. He's happy to be home. Then we can start to train. So by the end of it, like even when we got back, she was still upset. So we went through all of this conversation that I'm having with you now, again, because it was the same conversation we had in the first session, only they had more to work with, because now he's doing place. Now he's doing sit. We did an exercise called the turtle game, be with, or sit on the dog. It's another Nelson Hodges creation. I don't know how many of you might be familiar with it. If you have a dog and your dog is jumpy and demanding, sit on the floor. Just sit there and do nothing. And if your dog comes in your face, you curl up right away. As soon as they leave, you open up. Comes in your face, you curl up. As soon as they leave, you open up. That tells the dog, I can be on the same plane with you, but we have to respect each other's personal space. So rule number 1, he comes into my space, I cover up. Rule number 2, if he comes into my space with respect, I don't touch him. So we did that exercise. Now this was a shock to me. I think I had it on video, but I can't quite recall. And she did the whole thing. And then I said, and then he gets up and he walks away, because that's what you want them to do. Just go do your thing. Or ideally, eventually just come and lay down beside me. Now he came and laid down beside me, put his head on my leg. And I said, that's fine. I accept that. That's okay. Some people wouldn't, but I accept that. So then he does the exercise with his owner and he walks away, excuse me, and she's offended because he's walked away. We had that conversation. Then when he comes back, she reaches out and she grabs his head. And what does he do? What would you do? Someone reaches out and grabs your head like that. What would you do? Bite. Because one of two reasons. You bite to make that stop, or you bite because you think it's a game. And so he starts to play bite, and she's offended. Oh my God, well, why is he biting me now? I said, because you just violated his personal space. And he's telling you, okay, let's play, because you did that like you want to play. Why don't you just leave him alone? Let him figure out that he wants to come and hang out with you. That's a big lesson, people. If you're a trainer, watch your owners when you finally get the dog to settle. Are they fussing with the dog? You reach down, they start to pet the dog, and what ends up happening? Even with Prince, in the morning, he wakes up, he sleeps in bed. Just spoiler alert, he sleeps with me in the bed. And if I reach over and pet him because I'm just trying to get my day going, when he's had enough, he does this. He's pushing my hand away with his paw. Like, okay, that's good. And then he might put his head on my chest or my leg, but that's on his terms. But he doesn't. Dogs aren't touchy-feely. So it's a matter of respect. That was it. I just said, just don't touch him. And he came and he laid down beside me, and I did one stroke down his back, and I went, good, down. And then I put my hands in my lap, and we sat there. And their minds were blown. It was mind-boggling. They'd never seen him do that. So she has, friends that come over and so on, and her husband said, so, you can come over when your girls are here, your friends are here, and you can all sit on the floor. And I said, it's a great game on the floor, but everyone has to keep their hands to themselves. So now Cooper knows how to follow, and you do this with your dog. Now you're following silently, and you put a line on for guidance, and you provide a structure where you start to practice this in the house, then you can move outside. And then we finally sit and teach the dog to just be, because they've had their thing, but you have to repeat this scenario so that they understand they can count on you to be predictable, and they're going to come back and want more. Type follow in the comments if you want the checklist. So here's where we ended up. This is going to be, at the end, I had said to him, when I came back with him from his first walk, I said, he needs a break. Now we need to have some training. Now we're going to go for another walk so you guys can see. And I learned a lot on this particular walk, because when I was walking him, I was convinced they didn't walk him at all. And yet that wasn't true. So there we go. She's walking him. Now that shouldn't be slow motion, but it looks like it is. But you can see how he's just do. He's just walking along. Do, just whatever. And he's sniffing. There's driveways there. He's looking in because he knows the neighborhood. She's being nice and relaxed. See the way she's got, I like people when they're walking to have their hands closer to their body, so your arm's not doing this rogue thing, because that's when you get tempted to yank the leash. We don't want that. If she had her hands in her pocket, it would be more stable for the dog. And there we go. And he's like, this is so cool. And so you can't hear the conversation, but when I was talking to her about being present with the dog, thinking only about the dog, don't worry about your phone. I said, because if he senses that you're distracted, there we go. He goes to turn to the road. And I said, don't let him do that, because things can get off track. Just keep moving. And the husband goes, yeah, things have gone off track in the past. And this is where the flexi leads happen. You got this great big honking weight behind you. And he's checking in with me, but she can't control it. But look at him making good choices. That's what that was all about, him making good choices. And that's how the whole walk went. We went to a couple of different places. Now she stops. What does he do? Because I said, if he gets ahead, you just stop. He's thinking, and he's still curious. I mean, there's lots to smell. And she invites him back, and she stays calm. Hand is flat, and he comes back in. Can't really see it because I've got the camera on her back, but he does come in, and she starts to get frustrated. I said, well, there we go. He's processing. So she gave the little kissy sound, and back he came. No stress, no pressure. Now let's go together. Yeah, she's trying to get him to come into a precision heel, but I said, just take what you get. Look at him sitting down, focusing on you. Now let's go. He's looking for your attention. He's doing fine. Oh, there we go. She's trying, don't touch him. There was that's how he barks, or how he jumps. She's too slow. We were talking. There we go. I said, we ready? Can we go now? And there we go. Calm. I don't know why that went to slow-mo. Yeah, he's behind. There we go, at the beginning, but that's where it started. Right there. We'll stop that share. So when we did the be with exercise, he was here's where the petting thing happened. She wanted to know if she could touch him. So he finally settled when we got back in the house, and he settled, and she said, but he is a snuggly kind of a dog. And we had the focus that we wanted. I don't see any other stills in here that I can use. And then she did he's given her a hug. So you do one hug, and if he gets bitey and chewy, you put him down. But you pick up one hug, you still have, that's why we have dogs, because we wanted to snuggle with them. And then she was fine, and he was fine. So your goal is to build your relationship before you build obedience with the dog. when they see the advantage of staying connected to you, you're going to see less jumping. Oh, thanks, Twinkles. Yeah, less jumping, less biting, more focused on you for eye contact, and overall staying beside you because they want to, and an overall calmer dog because they know what's going on. All right. So thanks for dropping in, Twinkles. Good to see you. We're just about ready to wrap up here. So Cooper didn't need more obedience training. He needed leadership. He needed to know who he could count on. When they know who they can count on, they're going to have that following state of mind. And that's what we're after. When you want that following state of mind, well, to get that following state of mind, you've got to start with movement, not with voice. And you've got to keep your temper or your frustrations in check. In other words, no emotion. There's no emotion. You're welcome, Jacqueline. Thank you. So just type, before we go, we're going to sign off here. Just type follow in the comments and you'll get access to the checklist. And we will be back here next Tuesday, probably both times, but certainly we'll be back here a week from now. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. And please be sure to follow us if you haven't already, and type follow in the comments to get access to the checklist. So I hope you've discovered that with your dog, you're not building obedience first. You're being a person of influence so that your dog wants to stay close. When you become that person of influence, when your dog believes that staying close to you is their best advantage, you will, as you heard in the show, get less jumping, more focus, more eye contact, more voluntarily staying close to you because they want to, and that's where they feel the most comfortable. So remember to click on the bell to like this video if you got something from it. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel so we can reach more people just like you with this great content. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.